All right, so in this video, I'm going to walk through on how to set up a cadence in our system. And a cadence is simply a series of steps that are automated when a lead is entered into a data form, whether that data form is a manual insert, whether it's imported to the data form, whether you've submitted a lead or a lead was submitted on an external website or internal website to that data form. So by now, you should know what data forms are and how to set those up. And they're essentially assigning lists or leads to a specific data form that you then can set up cadences with automation steps to send out email, SMS, voicemail, and call stages. So to do that, you're going to come over here to marketing and click on cadences. So the first time when setting up a cadence, you have to build a data form. So, if you've watched these videos in sequence, how to set up a data form, and you likely already did. But if you haven't, watch the video on how to set up a data form and come over here and click create new cadence. So here's internal name. So can be anything you want. First cadence setup. And then you're going to choose your data form. So what's important here is if you don't see your data form here and you're inside a workspace, what that means is that you created a data form, assigned it to a different workspace, and now you're inside a workspace and you're not seeing that data form. Either toggle to all workspaces or go back to that data form and change the workspace. So that's normally a common issue, is that your data form's associated with a different workspace, and if you're using workspaces, you're not in the right workspace. This cadence will inherit your data forms workspace if you're using workspaces. So for instance, I'm going to put this to my Wayne Industries CTA, which I applied to my Wayne Industries workspace. So it's going to inherit it. And of course, if you've set up a data form with no workspaces and you're not using workspaces, this is all irrelevant at that point. So here you can just hit create. That's going to show your data form in this data table here. You can access your cadence by clicking on the name or the edit icon. You can also delete it here as well as clone it. So once you have all your steps set up, you can clone this and apply it to a different data form and go in and edit your sequences if you want to have a different setup or whatever you may want to do on the cloning aspect of it. So to get into your cadence, just click on the name. And here you're going to see several different sections. So this section over here, the sequences and triggers, think of this as your inventory. So whatever you add to your inventory over here, you're going to want to bring it to the canvas, configure the order, and save it, and then activate it. So in this first series, or in this first video, I'm going to go through the types of sequences, and then we'll go into each sequence and how to add those sequences and really start configuring them. So first step, you're going to click on Add Sequence. And so you have three different types. So the name here is internal. So this name is whatever you want. You can call it step 1, step 2, step 3. It's just to help you reference when it's in the inventory over here. And then type. So type is going to be email. So if I select email, I have to choose an email account. I have to choose an email template. I have to put my subject in. Oh, I don't have to choose an email template. I can choose an email template. I can put my subject in, my email body, and then my schedule. So scheduling is minutes, hours, days, weeks, month. What's important about the scheduling of sequences, it's the order in which the previous sequence was. So for instance, if I want an email to go out instantly, then I want an email to go out the next day, and then I want an email to go out on day 2 and day 3. The sequence is from the previous step. So all of my settings would be one day. So my first would be instant. So if it's set to 0 in minutes, 0, obviously that's going to trigger immediately. My next sequences would be, days, and I would do 1 day. And it would all be 1 day because it's 1 day from the previous sequence. So it's not day 2, day 3, day 4. It's 1 day because that's from the previous sequence, right? So 1 day from the previous sequence. And so that's my email type. So if I want to set a different type, so if I want to do SMS, same thing. I choose a VoIP line, SMS template, my message if I choose to, and my sequence there. The call only stage. So this stage is essentially, so let me jump to voicemail real quick and I'll come back to call. So voicemail, this is going to be your voicemail drops. So in the previous video, I talked about how you can set off a single voicemail drop, including a bulk voicemail drop. This is the same process. It's choose your VoIP line, and at that point, you choose whatever voicemail drop that you have access to. And that's how you're setting up your voicemail options and of course your sequence. And the last type is call. So call sequence is proprietary to our cadence system. The concept behind it is when you send out email, let's say you have a sequence for your salespeople that, hey, we're going to send an email, we're going to drop a voicemail, we're going to then send a text message on day 2. By the time it gets to day 3, we want you to call. So if you watch the filter video, there's an option for call only status, right? And so what happens is this lead will stay in this call stage until a lead disposition or call disposition is updated from that lead to trigger the next sequence or step in the sequence. So that lead will stay in here until your rep calls them or you call them, right? And so it's just a great way of saying, okay, I have these sequences set. Now I want to get into the call status. I can filter my leads that are only in call status. I'm only calling people that got a couple of messages already, and they're a little bit more aware of who I am when I'm calling. So that's what call status is. And you can put your call details in here, and this is just a script. So when you're in the system or in the lead, you can click on the call status or call stage for the cadence, which I'll show you in the following videos, and you'll see your call script that you can call when you're calling that lead. So those are the options. So these are our types. So you'll select each type, you'll configure them, you'll add everything in here, and you'll hit create. And what that does is that just puts it in the inventory over here to be able to use one time in the sequence. And so you're going to drag them over to the canvas, and you'll see in the following video how to do that. And then of course you have triggers, which are removing from cadence and also changing the lead disposition of the lead. And so you would drag those over to the canvas as well, activate them, save. And so watch the next videos to learn how to do that.